Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do that unless we play those entry-level letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Hado Ken?
Oh, y'all should definitely, especially if you've already started this game, you know what it stands for. It stands for Extra Deluxe Hobby. That's right, Magic is expensive, okay? I sometimes look at other hobbies like I can't even try because I'm doing this. I could start restoring cards and I think I would still break even. Actually, come out a little more ahead on the card thing.
But we're not here to talk about that today.
No, we're not. But the reason why we're talking about this, Derek, tell them why we're talking about this.
I don't know. No. So, in light of Starter Kit 2023 coming out soon, a lot of new players can get introduced to the game this way. And honestly, it just got us thinking about how we got introduced to this game, how we got into it, and even some things that almost made us quit. So
to those new players, all I gotta say is run now, hide your checkbooks, run. I'll just play.
Run for your life.
Come on, get some help. Come into the pool. The water is warm.
There's the best thing that I ever heard about Magic is you always want to make sure that your kids play it because they'll never have time or money to get into any trouble.
Exactly.
That's all they'll be doing. It's the best piece of advice.
Until they want, a guy's cradle for Christmas.
Whatever it is. So what we want to do is talk a little bit about what got us into the game, some of the first decks and commanders and stuff that we played, and again, what almost scared us away. Now, if this inspires you to get some of your friends into Magic and you're looking for stuff, make sure to hit up that referral link on the screen to help support the channel, show us some love. We always do appreciate it.
So basically, everybody, it's our origin story.
Yes, this is our villain origin story. So we'll start going down the line and talk about basically what got us into Magic and what first got us interested. So
in chronological order, I think it's only fair that I have to go first.
This is true, yes.
That's right. Sometimes I'll pass it off to you and then take it away, but I'll just go ahead and go first. All right, so chronologically, I got into Magic around 2010, maybe even 11. And so I was putting it off at first because Cowboy Cow, great friend of the show, was trying to get me to Magic when I first met him back in 2009. And I was like, nah, I'm a Munchkin player. This is what I do. Like, I don't even play Dungeons & Dragons, but that almost got me to Dungeons & Dragons. So I was like, I love like leveling up and putting things on myself, like equipment and all that stuff. And it's like, but if you love that, you'll love Magic. And I was like, I'm not trying to hear that right now. All about this Munchkin life. So long story short, I was about to graduate grad school. So I was like, you know what? I got time on my hand. Teach me the ways of Magic. He showed me his storage. Cards everywhere, dog. He's been playing since the 90s. You don't understand what I mean. He had a duffel bag, not those duffel bags you take to the airport. A duffel bag,
like the Louis knapsacks where you hold all the work at.
All the work was in there. He showed me all his cards, desk drawers full of cards. I stayed over there for a weekend and went through as much as I could. He taught me how to build a deck, 100-card deck. So he didn't even teach me like the basics as far as like standard and all that stuff. We went straight into Commander because he's like, you're not even going to like the other format. It was only one or two formats at the time, like, Legacy and Story, blah, 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 blah. But anyway, so I'm learning. I'm also a former, not necessarily Yu-Gi-Oh player in a sense. I used to play, like, watch the cartoon, play the handheld games, never the card game. So my mind frame is coming in as a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Like, I have to tap to defend. I have to like do defense mode and I can flip it over. He's like, nah, stop doing that. Just attack. just attack. And you don't attack monsters, you attack me. I was like,
we don't do that here.
My brain would not conceptualize coming from Yu-Gi-Oh into Commander maybe for the better part of at least half a year. So it was really fun getting in. He started me off with one of his pre-made decks. I think it was the copy guy. I can't. Because this guy used to be, this is one of the first Commander decks, actually. No. Riku.
Riku, yes.
Oh. Riku was so much fun, the way that I understood it at the time. And he never let me got any of those copy triggers off. So, boo you, Cowboy Cow. But it made me a better player. But after that, I became a Grixis player. Got me into Cedrus the Traitor King. Started playing zombies and whatever other random Grixis spells I wanted to play. Met up at the LGS. We had Commander tournaments. That's how I really learned and submitted myself as a Commander player. I'm going to go ahead and pass it off because I got some stories to tell.
Woo. Yeah, so what was the first set that you remember, just kind of in that realm? Like, what was the first set you remember being released when you started playing?
So the funny thing is, for some reason, I feel like it was Kamigawa, but I don't think it was. It couldn't have been Kamigawa. But I remember seeing a lot of Kamigawa cards, just like Sensei's Divining Top and stuff like that, Scroll Rack. But then maybe it was just one of those things that everybody was playing at the time. But I'm pretty sure it might have been like one of those Innistrad sets, one of those first Innistrad sets.
Okay.
Because I remember zombies, and I remember Gristlebear getting banned as soon as I started playing. Because I was like, I don't know much about Magic, but I'm pretty sure that card is going to get banned. A week later, banned.
You're a visionary from the start. So, Ken, is yours at all similar? And does it involve some sort of bare knuckle brawling behind a fast food restaurant?
I'm gonna let you go because mine takes a dark turn.
Oh gosh, okay.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know. We don't know much about Ken. Ken, I consider you one of my closest friends. I know almost nothing about your origin
You
story.
don't even know my real name ain't Ken.
True story.
So, how I got started was I am relatively a newcomer. I started in Amonkhet, so like 2016, 2017, in that range. I was in grad school too. I guess grad school is where everyone gets converted to Magic. I was just living my life. I was not into really any tabletop gaming, any card gaming, anything like that. And I walked into work one day. One of my best friends, shout out to you, Pete, had a like bundle box of Amonkhet on his desk, or a bundle box of Magic on his desk. Said he was going to a pre-release for Magic, and I was like, well, what is this? And I saw like he had some Amonkhet stuff, and look, when I was growing up, I was obsessed with the Mummy. Brendan Fraser, one of the most beautiful humans ever, just killing mummies and running around, and it just made me fall in love with both Brendan Fraser and Egyptian things. And so I saw that, I was like, this looks cool. So I started playing after work, got like into like the 60 card, just like whatever the random stuff you had Magic was. And then I realized after like 2 months of playing, I still knew none of the rules. I was just making stuff up. I had no idea what was going on. So I started like trying to I went to YouTube. I was like, I need to learn how to play because I'm looking like an idiot every day. And that was actually right when the first episode it was called Out of the Box at the time, but the first episode of Game Nights dropped. And I watched it. And I was like, what's this Commander thing? And yeah, I got into Commander, built the worst. I built a 5-color insect deck with Chromat. That was my first deck. Spoiler alert, insects are not a very well like balanced type. There's not a ton in there. I remember when the Locust God dropped, I was like, this is the strongest insect ever printed. It's not even an insect, but I still ran with it. Yeah, and then eventually I slowly deteriorated into the Magic person that I am now. So, Ken, what do you got?
Okay, I need you guys to come with me right quick. Come for a journey. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was 75 degrees outside, and the wind was blowing to the east. I was minding my own business with one of my homeboys right there. Was like, hey, we want to play some cards. I was like, cool. I thought it was spades. So, I came with my trash talking ready, and I was ready to throw down. So I get to the table, and I see Magic cards, and I'm like, yo, what is this? What are we doing right now? And there was a dude in the corner with a Trish code. Like, you never played Magic? And he opened the Trish code, like, the first pack is free. And I was like, all right, this is sketchy. But then I opened the pack, some dust came out. I was like, okay, cool. This is how we doing this. So I opened the Magic pack, and the first things I ever opened was what I now know is a Planeswalker. And I was showing everybody, I was like, this creature don't got no thingies like the rest of the creatures. And they was like, oh, that card is different, but if you don't want it, you can give it to me. And I knew by how greedy and disgusted they were looking, I was like, I might need to keep this card. So anyway, the first time playing Magic, they telling me the rules, but they didn't tell me all the rules. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, no, you can't do this. And I was like, why can't I play another land? Why can't I turn it upside down? Why do I got to turn it the way you want? I can't play the game. So we playing, and they stumped me into the ground, and they laughing. I was like, how you take pleasure in whooping somebody who ain't never played the game before? You just go to kids' cribs and just take candy from them, don't you? That's one of your pastimes. So after they got done stuffing me in the mud, I went back to my room pissed. I was like, never again.
Never again.
Never again.
I will not be a victim.
I will not be a victim. So then I started learning, and then I found myself in a gutter in a pouring rain with an empty deck box hanging out of my hand, and then I ran into an ancient one. It was a hooded person with a robe, and they was like, follow me. I will show you the way. And that person was saying. So then we was sitting there trading, getting my kung fu up, and all of a sudden I started learning different stuff with the decks. And then I came back and for my first deck, which was Calamity. I bought it at Gen Con.
I remember that. he almost whooped me. It was pretty strong out of the box.
Out the box, this is without any attachments. And then I was like, okay, cool. And I went back and I got my vengeance. So pretty much my introduction to Magic has been a string of vengeance and pettiness that has come back to hunt everybody who introduced me to.
Yeah. Pettiness is going to be a recurring theme when it comes to our origin story.
Everything makes so much more sense now. All right, so
I don't play this game for passion. I play this game because I'm pissed. It's so much rage when I play this game. It's not even calming to me. You know when I'm calm when I come home and I sit the deck boxes down in my bag and I put them in the closet because then I can let the devil go.
I still remember his first table flip like yesterday.
It's like baby's first steps. You never forget. It's a memorable moment. We put it on our calendar.
It's actually a medical condition because every time I pick up a deck box, my blood pressure goes up. I don't think this is healthy.
All right, so now that we know kind of what got us interested, do any of us remember? We kind of hinted at it, but I guess maybe our first Commander deck or two, like when we got into Commander, not just playing Magic. The first deck that we built, and maybe the first like level up moment that we had going from playing like a pile of things to like this is an actual deck, like this works sort of.
Yeah. So I talked about having Cedrus the Trader King, unearthing things from the graveyard. I thought that was cool, and not necessarily mostly a zombie deck, but some zombie things here and there. But it was really just Grixis good stuff, whatever, and get my hands on. Like I spent hours at the game shop. All the cards were on the wall, so you can just really just browse through them at your leisure. Literally spend hours. Finish up working on my thesis for the day. Go in there, spend about 3 hours looking at cards. So I'm grabbing random things like I can destroy non-basic lands. Cause I see everybody, cause I'm coming in playing basic lands. I can't spend money on non-basic lands. I don't even really know what those are yet. But this card says I can get rid of yours. So, I was playing it. And then I saw people playing better creatures than me. And I was like, no. Reigns of Power. Here, you can have my little, 25-cent creatures. I'm taking the big boys over there. Yeah, I remember you, Avacyn. Yeah, we're going to get to Avacyn in a little bit. But anyway, so that I was playing spells like that, and for some reason, nobody would see stuff like that coming. Like, I don't know what I was doing differently, but apparently those 25-cent cards were putting in work because, like I said, I was, unearthing things, swinging on you with it. Maybe not even swing, but like, Reigns of Power, got them every time. And like I said, just spells were slinging, cards were being played. I'm losing out on tournaments, and I don't even know why necessarily. The rules were different back then. Well, we'll get to that when what almost made me quit. But yeah, Grixis good stuff was doing it for me at the time, and I think it would be a good way for people to start off as well, as far as just finding those colors that work for you or the what you feel like works as far as your personality, and just kind of just roll with it, make a janky deck here or there, and just kind of upgrade it over time.
Yeah, I would say it was a similar progression. I think it sounds like you progressed a lot faster than I did just because you had some sort of like gaming background or like even with Munchkin and things like that. Like I came in and my friend had like 4 or 5 60 card decks that were just random. Like it was just like whatever was in stand. So we all passed those around and played. There was like a humans deck. There was a Golgari sacrifice deck. There was a zombie deck. All these things. So I started playing those, but then I wanted to build my own deck. So I had that insect deck. Just because I remember when I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I had an insect deck with the Insect Queen, and that was like one of my favorite things. So I built this insect deck that turned into a commander deck of 5-color Chromat, and it was so bad. I remember like Killer Bees was an all-star, Scoot Mob, not Scoot Swarm, not the Scoot Mob, the old one where it was like if you control enough lands, you get some +1 counters. Yeah. That was an all-star in the deck.
It was, yeah.
Hornet Queen was just like beyond powerful. I remember when I bought that, I thought I was like cheating in Magic. I was like, how ever could I? Like Ant Queen was like the strongest thing ever.
You got a young Weevil Underwood over
here.
Yeah,
just running through the lab with bugs everywhere. And then eventually that was my first deck. It was terrible. I mean, it was a 5-color mana base with I think all basic lands. Like it was just thrown together. And then after playing that for a while, I remember I really love villains. Like villains in every game and everything. That's what intrigues me the most. So I remember at the time, all I knew that there were Phyrexians and there were Slivers. And I knew one of those two was going to be the deck I built. And I already realized playing 5 colors was miserable. And even back then, Slivers were expensive. Like, to get in on any of the commanders was, like, crazy expensive. So I was like, oh, yo, Hapatra just came out. I can make Hapatra Infect. And that was, like, my first real deck. I made Hapatra, got all the Infect cards for, like, $10 total. I remember at the time, literally bought every card that said Infect on it, threw it all in there, and it felt like a functioning deck. And that was where I was like, okay, this is definitely for me. And yeah, it kind of fell in love with it since. I built Krenko not too long after that, and then just went down the rabbit hole of just building decks. And I guess not much has changed. I still love Infect. I still love villains. And honestly, I still throw together piles of cards not too dissimilar from the 5-color insect deck that vaguely work and get beat by precon. So not much has changed, but it's crazy to think about that it's been like 7 years at this point because it really just feels like I just got into it. So Ken, I assume your first deck was terrifying based on your origin story. I'm expecting like mass land destruction, stacks, all the Swords of Revealing Light, just all the terrifying stuff.
I put a Swords of Revealing Light in there all day. So when I got into Magic and I started to get my first deck, my first thing in my mind is I want to hit as hard as I can. I want to knock you out your chair. I want to hit you so hard your mama call you and check and see if you okay. So that's why Calamity was one of the first decks I got, because a double striker that got bigger with experience counters signed me up. And because I'm sorry, I'm about to get some hate. Monocode decks suck. But anyway, I'm gonna move forward. So I choose this and I go Calamity. But then as I start playing, I think my style has, because my thing is with these creatures, I want to hit you, I want to knock you down to the floor. And to quote Ethan Hawke from the Magnificent Seven, you gotta hate what you're firing at. So when I turn sideways, I'm coming at you with everything. As I've gotten better and start playing more Magic, my style. Sherlock Holmes is one of my favorite fictional characters. And more so, I love the movies, especially with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And my play now has evolved into I want to.
He's a mystery, but he's also trying to solve the mystery of your deck at the same time.
Exactly, and I want to play. I'm not playing the deck. I'm playing the person.
Right.
So at that point, I'm trying to think about everything that you can possibly do and how to counter that.
Yep. Real quick, Ethan Hawke was in Magnificent Seven?
Yes, he was.
I vaguely remember that.
Yes, he was.
Denzel Washington?
Yes, he was.
Okay, I'll go back and watch that.
Okay.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, yeah, cool story, bro. So, I remember that Calamity deck. I only remember it because turn 1 Soul Ring, turn 2 Calamity.
Oh, no, wait. You missed something. Turn 1 Soul Ring into Lightning Greaves.
Yeah, Lightning Greaves. It happened way more times than it should have. He was cheating. All right, so
we know that was the shuffling part of the game is not something that was immediately taught to.
No. He moved the cheat step real quick.
Well,
my Soul Ring was my Dark Magician.
Speaking of cheat step, now we want to get into, as we kind of wrap up the video, is getting into the things that almost made us quit, or like things that terrified us. And it's really funny looking back, because I just remember some things that I thought were unbeatable at the time. Not even necessarily made me want to quit, but I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know what was coming. So we're going to label this the things that almost made us quit Magic, and we'll figure out all the in-betweens later. So Sid, do you have anything that stuck out to you when you first started that either seemed unbeatable or made you say, this is just not, I'm not about that life?
No, we could make a whole video off of this. Just off of the cards that I encountered when I started Magic. Mariki Barrett. I think that's how you say her name.
Yep.
Mariki, the Esper.
Yeah,
Barrett, whatever. Kill her on sight. That's her name.
That's the one that steals stuff. We'll put it on the screen if y'all don't know.
Taking my cards from me as I play them, it was a very sad feeling. It almost made me quit. I'm gonna move through these stories really, really fast. Mariki B almost made me quit because she kept stealing my permanents. Avison, everything indestructible. Come on, really? How am I supposed to beat that? I can't punch into that. Her and everything else just stays there. Then I finally found out about like either -1 counters or just X minus X. Like that. Okay, now we talking, or even Path of Exile. Like that was new to me. Like that was a God saving moment that kept me into the game, because now I have a way to get rid of Avison. A couple others real quick. What we had. Clone. I know this sounds weird. All right, follow me here. When I was playing Magic, when we first started off, there was a legend rule that only one legend could be on the board at the time, no matter how many people were playing. So if I had give me a creature name, legendary.
Gishath.
If I had Gishath on the board and somebody else cast a Gishath, I have to sacrifice mine, because legend rule says that the last Gishath to come in is the one that lives. First one has to die. People will play clone decks, literally cloning your legends and your cards, killing your creatures. I couldn't win games like that. Almost made me quit. Number one on a hate poster, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off because, like I said, I can do a whole episode on this. Y'all know who she is. Y'all know who it is. Kalia the Vast. All right, Mardu, get out my face. Dropping angels, demons, and dragons every time you swing. How is that fair, Sway? How's that fair? So I developed a combo just to get rid of Avison players. I'm not going to put it on screen because I don't divulge the secrets of the Wu-Tang. But anyway, I had a guy hate me because I got rid of lands so that he wouldn't cast Kalia. That's how deep my combos ran. That's how deep the pettiness ran. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it off because I'm getting frustrated again.
Okay, so get into what what definitely scared me. The funniest thing is when I first started it, I definitely didn't understand anything about a social construct because my play group was the same 5 people in my lab. So I was doing wild stuff. I remember one time I sundered into a wheel, and so like return everybody's lands to hands, then wheeled, and I was like, oh gosh, why did I do that? Like there was just no understanding of me for any sort of. So I probably was causing more damage than I was taking in. But the first thing I remember in those 60 card decks. Shout out to you, Pete, again. He had this like combo in it it was more of a synergy with like the Bog Brew Witch and the Festering Newt. And you could just keep doing that and like gaining life. And my little brain could not comprehend, and I felt like it was unbeatable. I was like, this is so good. How will I ever design anything that can compete against this? And I was so frustrated. And I just remember every time he played it, I was like, I need to be ready. This witch and lizard thing is the bane of my existence. So then I leveled up a little bit more. And that's when the 2017 precons came out. So I remember everyone in my lab, we all pre-ordered all of them. It was only like $100 for all the decks at the time. Like they were cheap compared to what, got all the decks, ready to play them. And somebody that was not me decided to play Edgar Markov. And that was the deck they were assigned. And when I tell you, we had no idea it was just the precon, maybe with a few cards switched out. And it was insane. It was just every game you had 12 vampires on turn 3 and you
can't stop them.
Tapping all your vampires and stealing with, I think it was Patron of the Vein, just stealing all of our creatures. Like it was to the point where I was like, I thought Eminence at that point was just like a regular ability. I didn't realize it was a one-off. I was like, if they print more of these, I won't know what to do. Maybe this game isn't for me. And then fast forwarding a little bit more, I think the next moment that made me question things was when I first moved to Atlanta. I was here for like...
We got to give him an introduction.
It was before I met y'all.
Okay.
It was even... I literally moved here. Within a week, there was the Magic Fest or GP, whatever it's called
GP
at the
Atlanta.
time. GP Atlanta.
Yeah.
I go to my very first one ever. I'd never been to any Magic events. I had like 2 decks. I had like a Gishath, because Ixalan had just come out, and some other like very just casual slow deck. I sit down at a table. 3 games in a row got comboed off on by turn 3 to like some like... mill combo. This combo was a Zur deck. I remember you, whoever you are out in the world, playing Zur against me, who barely knew the rules, and was like, oh no, my deck's super casual, and you comboed me out before turn 4 3 games in a row and laughed at me, and I will never forget that. And I almost walked out of there not wanting to play Magic anymore, but there was a very, really big haul, and I would have gotten lost, and I was kind of just stuck at that chair. So I stuck with it. And
you come to Atlanta, you get stuck in Atlanta.
Yeah, so now I'm still here. But there was plenty of points, and I think past that point, I've never considered quitting. I'm in too deep. I can't get out. Some sort of blood bond has been formed. There's no escape. Ken, what do you got?
All right, it's a couple of things that made me rage quit. And let me start with the creatures. First of all, Animar. The first time I got introduced to Animar, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why would anybody play this against real people? This is stupid. I played against this.
Why does it have protection?
From all the colors that I play. And I was pissed. I was like, I have nothing to get rid of this thing. There are no board wipes in green. There are no board wipes in red outside of Blasphemous Act. And by then, I got indestructible creatures. And my Animar is a 15/15.
Right.
So, boo-hoo you. And then would go to my next creatures, Eldrazi's. When I first saw Eldrazi's, that was the first time I realized that poop can actually stay in your pants, because it was quite disgusting when I saw a Kozilek and an Ulamog and that other stupid thing that looks like a jellyfish that takes your turns. The whole concept of taking somebody's turn, which is so unfair, that almost broke me. A mechanic that almost made me quit. Shroud. This was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Nothing on the board can affect it. Not even the person who casted it. But okay, we're going to move it down. You know what I'm saying? The last thing that almost got me to quit, that till this day grinds my gears, the stack. How people use the stack. The stack is the dumbest thing. This goes on and this goes on. You take this one off. You slide this under and this goes on top of it. And then you can move everything off of it.
And you copy that.
And you copy this. And this moves this.
Yeah, when we get to the stacks phase, my brain just...
I shut down and say, I believe you.
Yeah.
Oh. And to this day, we're still pisses me off. Mono blue players. I can't I'm cool with a few counter spells. I played against this one person. I'm sorry, Phil. I gotta call you out. Phil.
The counter spell deck.
The counter spell deck. It was at one point, and he thought it was funny. It was this thing where we had infinite mana, and our hands were infinitely big, but anything that it got cast automatically got countered. And I was like, we just sit here looking at each other now. How is this fun? What are we doing?
Well, that is gonna bring this episode to a close. I hope this gives you a little bit more insight into why we are the way we are, what happened to us along the way.
We might need to talk to somebody.
Probably, yeah. I need to. We should have just group therapy. It's like couples therapy, except for us. It's a lot that happened. Well, I hope that y'all had a wonderful intro to Magic. And if you're thinking about getting your friends into Magic, maybe some of these lessons will teach you. Don't
be that kind of person.
Yeah, be nice to your friends. Hug them, love them. Yeah, let us know down in the comments below what got y'all started with Magic. What were some of the boogeymen that you first saw when you were getting in the game that almost scared you away? And really, let us know what set you came in on, because I really feel like that gives a good insight into kind of your feelings on the game when you figure out kind of what was going on when you first got into Magic. And remember, if you're trying to get your friends into it or whatever it is, use the referral link we got on the screen, description, comments, it's everywhere. Go ahead and show the channel some love. And yeah, maybe Starter Kit 23 is where you get a friend into Magic. Maybe you just throw some Blood Moons and stuff at them and tell them, go have fun. However it is, don't tell them we sent you. But until next time, see y'all later. Peace.